This podcast is brought to you by Collector Legion. For all your single and gaming needs, there is no substitute. And if you're lucky enough to find yourself in LA with time to play, check them out for the best in-person gaming experience this side of the Pro Tour. Welcome to Split Second Sorcerers. I'm your host with the most basic lands in his cube deck, Isaac Sears. And today on the pod, we have the 2018 SCG Invitational winner, the 2018 Grand Prix Memphis finalist, and owner of the second most winning hat in Magic. It's the one, the only, Runeclaw Barich, or as many others may know them, Aaron Barich.
Well, thank you for...
How's it
Dude,
going?
it's going well. Thank you for such a lovely introduction. Do you actually play most basics in your cube drafts? That's absurd. It's first pick duels every time.
Yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem.
I like casting spells.
But the bigger problem is, what is your biggest or most embarrassing punt?
I threw a match against Tana and Grace at the finals of SCG Atlanta in like 2019 or 2018. Or not in the finals, I'm sorry. It was a win in the top 8. He was playing Tron and I was playing Infect. And we were going to game 3. I was on the play and he mulligans to 3. And he says under his breath, kind of to me quietly, congrats on your top 8. Because I snap kept my 7. And I end up losing a game where I like could have played around it, but I didn't play around the 3rd kill spell out of his 5 cards he had. And it turned out his hand was like,
You
yeah,
fool!
he just like had 3 lands, double Dismember Nature's Claim or double Nature's Claim, blew up all 3 of my Infectors, and then he turn 4 he had Tron and played a Tarn. He just died or something. It was, I don't remember the exact details, but it was one of those games where I could not lose if I played well. He set it up really hard. I had not top 8'd an open it like all year, and then lost on camera for the win and in. Awful. Awful.
Well, while we're on Anecdote Alley, what's your favorite non-MTG story from an MTG trip?
So this goes back to my first SCG Open, the trip around that. So I was like 15 at the time. It was SCG Birmingham, Alabama. I think it was the only time they ever went there for like a full Open. This is back when they were like 1 days. So there's 5 people in our car. We're all broke. We get the cheapest hotel we can find. It's a beautiful place called the King's Inn. I have no clue if it still exists, but it's in the shady part of Birmingham. All of the local places have bars on their windows. We're pulling in. So it's a motel, so you can see the layers from outside, right? And the top layer, instead of having like a rail so you don't fall, just has yellow caution tape connecting the poles. And we're just like, oh no, what have we got ourselves into?
We've made a mistake.
You know, we enter into this hotel. The lobby has like a drain in the floor, like it's the back of like a diner, like a Waffle House where they clean the floors and just pour the water in. That's just the lobby. Go inside the hotel. It's like something out of a cartoon. You have like the crack going down the wall. Everything's kind of like yellowed and dirty. You walk around for a bit. The bottom of your socks turn black. Not great. Of course, they don't have extra. There was 5 of us. They don't have any extra pillows or blankets. We have 2 blankets, 4 pillows, and we agree that whoever does the worst in the event has to sleep on the floor the second night. We roll dice for the first night. I pass. We turn on the TV and it automatically goes to porn. And the shower doesn't have a head. It's just like a pipe in the wall. All of it's really beautiful. For the first night, the guy that sleeps on the floor uses a towel as a pillow. And to really, tie magic in very slightly, I, of course, went 0-3 and slept on the floor the next night. It's truly, there's so much more. That event weekend is probably, if I told you the full story, you would not believe that I still played Magic as my first Open. It's not reasonable. But yeah, the King's Inn is, I've never stayed at a hotel so cheap again, and I've learned my lesson.
Wise. Well, speaking of learning your lessons, what was your biggest MTG level up moment?
Yeah, this is I think one of the most important ones, or one of the ones that's good for story I've talked about before, which is with playing my first Pro Tour. It was Battle for Zendikar. I was playing Jeskai Black, which I had just top 8'd the Open with the week before. Uh, and it just I don't remember what set had just come out, I guess with Battle for Zendikar, and the standard just rotated, and like Jeskai Black was kind of known as one of the best decks, especially the weekend before, like 3 or 4 of them top 8'd the Open. So I play it again. My build sucks. It's not good. It's my first Pro Tour. I don't know what I'm doing. And I end up playing against Andrew Cuneo. And Cuneo beats me in what I would call a mirror. It's like a mirror because it's the same deck, but his is just so clearly different and better than mine that it's not fair. I just get crushed.
Yeah.
And as we're playing, he's like, afterwards he chats with me. He's like, oh, I think I saw you at the Open last week. Good job or whatever. I was like, yeah, I ran back Jeskai Black. I just didn't expect to play against so much of it, or I wasn't as prepared for the mirror as you. And he kind of just like pauses and goes, well, what did you expect? And I just kind of left it at that, and I was like, yeah, good point. And it was a moment to remind me that often when we're playing Magic or doing anything, this is like a life lesson. We kind of just do things because because you're just like on a train of thought, or you're following it, and you really got to stop yourself and be like, why am I making these choices? And that's super important in deck building, in mid game, drafting. Like, why am I doing this? Why is this my choice in this game?
Yeah.
Why is this my choice in this deck? Don't just do things to do them or because everyone else is doing them. And it's one of those things that's really, really captured really cleanly in a moment of someone who you know is much better than you, just like asking you, what the hell are you doing?
Well, speaking of first Pro Tours and pro players, who was the first player you remember idolizing?
First player I remember idolizing, I think it just had to be like Paulo or LSV or someone like that. I watched so much Channel Fireball getting into it back when they first started doing their draft videos and all that stuff, and that was a really awesome time and experience. I could stay up late with my brother drafting while watching draft videos, and LSV is definitely one that sticks out in my head really strongly. I learned a lot about like just kind of Magic at that time. Playing one game on one monitor, watching on another, really grows your connection to somebody, and be like, yeah, I want to do this. I want to read this guy's articles are awesome. I want to do this.
Well, speaking of leaving the house, what's your favorite tourney venue to go to?
Favorite tournament venue? The one that's whatever one's closest to me is always the actual answer, but
No. Leave it there. That's perfect. Would you rather win at 1 life or on turn 5 of turns?
1 life, absolutely.
Don't want to play that much
No.
Magic. What's the worst card you've ever registered in a constructed tournament?
There's so many. That's a terrible question for me. Oh, there's so many. Oh gosh. I would probably say there's so many. I'm gonna go with Gather Courage. I think that's my favorite bad card I've registered. Gather Courage being like the giant growth, you can tap a green creature to play.
Yeah.
It's just a funny card.
Mutagenic growth before mutagenic
After,
growth. Yeah.
but it was in standard. I don't know. It wasn't very good, and it wasn't good if someone really knew you had it, but no one knew I had it, so you just had 0 mana +2/+2. That was kind of sick.
Well, speaking of things that are kind of sick, what's your favorite card to try and wheel in a booster pack draft?
I'm gonna go for Cube, and it's Sulfuric Vortex. If you ever rotate a Sulfuric Vortex, you know you're free game to take every red card in the draft.
You're open.
Every red card.
Open.
Game's over. You're 3-0ing.
Nobody's in.
No one's
way.
stopping you.
What's the best time period of your favorite constructed format?
I really, really loved Innistrad block era, so like Scars Innistrad or Innistrad Ravnica. Probably Scars Innistrad, because those when I really started getting into like competitive more seriously, and like at a level where I'm like, oh, I'm actually pretty good and can maybe win some things. but that format was super fun. I mean, one of my favorite decks of all time is Zombie Pod. That deck's awesome. Podding Giraffe's Messenger into Phyrexian Metamorph, copying your Giraffe's Messenger. Super sick. Spin the wheel every turn. There was just a lot of cool, weird decks like that going on. Innistrad, just a sweet set for all the standards around it.
What's the first card you remember opening out of a booster pack?
Out of a booster pack, I don't remember exactly. I remember the first Magic card that I had that I was really into was Defiant Elf, which is the 1 green 1/1 Trampler from Legions. So I like that card. I like that card so much. I actually own the art for it. It's one of my favorite cards of all time. I started.
Awesome.
So one of the first decks I got playing Magic was the Legion's Elf deck, and I just remember Timberwatch Elf plus that thing. Awesome. Love the 1/1 weird card, and I've always loved weird cards, so it fits.
Hell yeah. Now, if you could change one thing about Magic, whether it be structure, bannings, unbannings, what would it be?
I've proposed this event to people. No one's taken me up on it. I've proposed a 1-day, 20-round event, 30-minute rounds. Draws are you're DQ'd, and you just play the whole tournament that way. It's just you can't go to time.
Is it best
It's
of
best
one?
of 3.
Or...
No, you just got to play fast. Just play faster. No time, no thinking.
Just
play your
in between
games.
rounds.
Look, I played Just Sky Black, and I never went to time. I killed people. That deck had no win condition by the time it was done. You don't need to think as much as people do. Also, that's probably why I'm not as good as people that top 8 Pro Tours regularly, and I'm just fine. Yeah, maybe if I stopped and thought more.
Well, stop and think about this. What's the most difficult match you've ever won?
Most difficult match I ever won. That's really hard. I mean, I think there are some matches from that SCG Invitational that were like really tough. Probably one of the ones that stands out is I had a camera match against someone who was playing Mardu. Mardu Pyromancer, which is just an awful matchup for Infect, and I was like kind of playing for I don't remember if it was for top 8 or something at the time. It felt very serious. Maybe it was for like undefeated in Modern or something.
Yeah.
And I just killed them with damage with like a Noble Hierarch in a really tight game through like a million cards. And I don't know. Infect leads to so many hard games that they all kind of blend together. But that one feels special because it was part of that event for me against my worst matchup, and I killed someone with Noble Hierarchs and like Dryad Arbors and just the whole 9 of my favorite things to win with in that deck.
Is that? Okay, my producer just informed me we've reached our lighting budget for this episode. So, to end this pod, ranch or blue cheese?
Ranch.
There we go. You're in the right state. You know what you're about. All right, as we come to a close here, do you have any upcoming tournaments that fans can sweat you in, or perhaps a place where the good people can find you or your content?
Yeah, I mean, you can follow me on Twitter at RuneClaw Barich. Also, I will be going to Vegas, as many people will be. I will be playing in the 100K Grand Prix equivalent thing. I haven't played much Limited recently, so I'm going to try and dive pretty deep in. But even if I don't, I will probably try and have a great time in Vegas, and I'm sure you will see me around wherever everyone else is.
Woo! All right, well, that does it for this episode. Thanks to my guest, Aaron, Wizard of the Coast, and you, the viewer. If you all have any guests or questions you'd like to see asked on this program, feel free to let me know in the comments or just hit me up on Twitter at LikeIkes. And next time, folks, remember, it's handshake, sign the slip, then throw your O3 deck in the trash, not the other way around.